Gold and silver. Sounds old school, right? Well, sometimes old school is timeless. Precious metals have always been a safe place to invest your money, and that hasn't changed. Some also say the price of gold may rise rapidly in the coming years as demand rises, and they also say silver is highly underrated. There are also other metals that almost nobody has heard about, like rhodium and palladium, and the prices of these have doubled, if not more, just over the last couple of years. At Noble Gold Investments, they help you in deciding how to invest your money into precious metals, whether that be your retirement fund or grabbing physical gold and silver bars to have on hand. Download their free ebook or give them a call and tell them Jordan sent you. Hey there folks, welcome to Destroying the Illusion. It's Sunday, July 26th. Hope you're having a nice chill end to your weekend, and we're going to cover some headlines that have happened over the last couple of days in this one. Now, shout out to everybody that caught my live stream yesterday or have watched it since then. Kind of a spur of the moment thing, but I just wanted to hang out for a little while, answer some questions, talk about QAnon, talk about UFOs, and it was a good time. And actually, I'm going to start doing that on a regular basis. Don't know when, but I'll let you guys know when the next one's going to be and what particular day, at what time I'm going to start scheduling these. I'm going to do them every week. We'll have a good old time. I'll answer some questions. I'll make sure to get the questions beforehand so it's not a total shit show when I'm broadcasting. But stay tuned for that on this channel. Now let's get into our news stories, starting off with our beloved 17th letter of the English alphabet. On Jesse Watters' primetime broadcast last night on Fox News, he brought up QAnon, and he brought it up to none other than Eric Trump. He was interviewing Eric Trump, President Trump's son, and they talked about QAnon. Wow! And actually, I don't even know really what to say about it. You're just going to have to watch this clip of it.
Funny business now. Q, I guess this conspiracy deal on the internet. Twitter's basically just cracked down, eliminated about 7,000 accounts, 150 other 100,000 accounts are now in the crosshairs. Do you think that this is an attempt to kind of interfere in an election? Because, Q can do some crazy stuff with the pizza stuff and the Wayfair stuff, but they've also uncovered a lot of great stuff when it comes to Epstein and it comes to the deep state. I never saw Q as dangerous as Antifa, but Antifa gets to run wild on the internet. What do you think of what's going on there?
Yeah, guess what? Adam Schiff does a lot of crazy things, and Jerry Nadler and Eric Swalwell, they also do a lot of crazy stuff. Here's the fundamental problem, Jesse, that I have with it. You have some little dweeb in Silicon Valley, right, who's 22 years old. He's a tech savant, right? He's there. He's running, Twitter or one of these companies, and he literally has his finger on the power of a presidential election.
So holy moly, there's a lot to unpack from that quick clip. Let's start off with talking about how Jesse framed QAnon. So, at first, he kind of played a little stupid. It's probably on purpose, let's be real. But he played a little dumb. He said Q said some crazy things, the pizza stuff, the Wayfair stuff. And as we very well know, that Wayfair stuff has nothing to do with Q. Q has not said anything about Wayfair since that thing went viral. So, like I said, Jesse played a little dumb, probably on purpose, plausible deniability. But then he went and said something nuts. He said Q uncovered a lot of other great stuff when it comes to Epstein and the deep state. Holy moly, what a quote to throw out there to millions of people, primetime Fox News. Like, wow, how far have we come in just under 3 years? 3 years ago, if you were following Q back then, we barely had anybody to talk to about this stuff. Seriously. And now we're seeing the president's son being interviewed about QAnon primetime. And Jesse Watters is even saying that they've uncovered great stuff. Wow, that is great stuff. And then let's take a look at how Eric Trump answered. And his answer is awesome because he totally didn't even talk about Q, which was the great thing, because if Q was such a LARP, crazy, conspiracy, extremist movement, whatever, if it was terrible for the Trump campaign, what a perfect opportunity for Eric Trump to dispel the whole thing. But he does not. In fact, he doesn't even talk about QAnon. He totally shifts the conversation into talking about social media censorship and the election. That says everything that we need to know right there. In fact, I would have loved if Jesse Watters asked Eric Trump about that Q meme that he posted to his Instagram just a few weeks ago. That's what he should have asked him. Maybe someday. But anyway, that's an incredible clip. And in fact, it even earned Jesse Watters a few hit pieces out of the mainstream media. Saw one printed by the Daily Beast this morning. Saw one printed by Business Insider. So they're lighting his ass up for mentioning the great stuff that QAnon does. You earned it, Jesse. And speaking of hit pieces on QAnon, they're bringing out their big guns. So we know over the last week, since Twitter said they were going to start banning a bunch of QAnon accounts, there's been hit piece after hit piece. I think Will Sommer for the Daily Beast has written like half of them. Now they're bringing out MIT. TechnologyReview.com. It's too late to stop QAnon with fact checks and account bans. Twitter and Facebook won't be able to deal with it without rethinking the entire information ecosystem. That is the subheadline of this article. What the heck is MIT trying to promote here? I don't know. Sounds weird. I'm not about it. And that's MIT for you. Seriously. Higher education is not really that much all about education. It's more so about brainwashing than anything. So moving on now, let's talk about that 100 days. You might be seeing this on a lot of politicians' tweets today or in news articles. And the reason being is because we are 100 days out from the election. Just over 3 months. So with that being said, it's probably going to be a pretty turbulent 3 months. So I would suggest you just have situational awareness when you're out doing anything in public. See something, say something. Stay away from the crazy urban downtown areas of the cities that you know are hotspots, like Seattle, Portland, Austin. We'll talk about that in a sec. And just hang out, chill at home for the next 3 months. I don't know, keep quarantining. After the election, all this, a lot of it should subside, so don't worry about that. Now moving on to John Lewis, you know, being 3 months out from the election, the deep state, they're looking for any frickin' thing they can pull right now to distract, delay, whatever they can do, as we very well know. And one of those delays, distractions, we got John Lewis's funeral memorial service, which I guess is this week. It's been like all over the news today. And from what I was told or heard, it's going to be like a week of this. So they got a week of distractions, then we'll see what comes after that. Maybe they'll try their UFO card again. Who knows? But should be a pretty crazy 3 months. So buckle up and make sure you hit that digital war, you know, spread the memes, spread the information. Most pivotal time to ever do it is right now. Now let's talk about Seattle, Portland, and Austin. So crazy things going on again in those urban centers, the ones with the shitty mayors and the shitty governors, really. Seattle's got a lot of riots going on there. Don't worry, I'm well away from Seattle. It's not affecting me at all. Portland, more weird stuff going on in Portland. A lot of just violence happening this weekend in those places. And then we have the situation out of Austin. We had a shooting last night where an individual literally had an AK-47. I mean, this is in Texas, so a bunch of people are open carrying. And there was a very tense moment. There was videos even captured of this that started going pretty viral on Twitter where somebody was driving and it looked like they were driving either towards the crowd, maybe they're already in the crowd and trying to just get out of it because we know how those crowds can mob. And a dude with an AK-47 went up, fired 5 rounds at the car, and then you can hear in the video, the live on the street video of it, there's 3 rounds fired after that. And the story is that this individual named Garrett Foster, he was the one that had that AK-47, he passed away after shooting that car. The person in the car fired back, and those 3 shots that were fired back at him, I don't know how he missed 5 rounds from an AK-47, but I guess he did. Driver fired 3 shots back and got him. Now, I've seen on Twitter the majority of folks, because we have live footage and you can hear the 5 shots and 3 shots, we even have a screen cap where you can see he's holding the AK-47 at the car. Now, most people on social media, because we have all that information, thank God, internet, cell phones, and all that other crazy digital stuff, that's really a blessing and a curse. People are seeing what actually happened and not falling for the bait, but holy shit, I was reading the New York Times version of this just like 30 minutes ago, and my God, they literally left out the whole part where Garrett Foster fired 5 rounds at the car. Look at this. A couple paragraphs in, it says, the police and witnesses said the man in the car turned it aggressively toward the marchers. Maybe he did. Regardless, Mr. Foster then approached it. The driver opened fire, shooting Mr. Foster, who was rushed to a hospital and later pronounced dead. What? They just went from step A to step like G there. They just missed a whole load of what happened. And again, the beauty of phones in everybody's hands and social media is that we get the evidence right in front of our eyes. So we can look at shit like this from the New York Times, and it's obviously missing a huge part of the story. So who knows what New York Times agenda is with this one. Maybe they'll try to stoke the gun control narratives, or maybe try to continue to claim that they're peaceful protesters. That's probably what they're trying to do here. Let's totally leave out the part about the protester firing at the dude and just talk about the dude firing back. Bullshit. Fake news is the enemy of the people. Now let's get into talking about how Sinclair, which is a large broadcasting company across the country, they own a lot of different networks and local newspaper stations, things like that. Sinclair Broadcasting was going to air an interview with Judy Mikovits. Yes, the Judy Mikovits that was in Plandemic. That's great, actually. I totally support that. Airing an interview with Judy Mikovits. Wow. And they were even going to air this interview with on-screen graphics that said things like, did Dr. Fauci create the coronavirus? And was COVID-19 created in a lab? Wow. So they were going to be airing this, but Sinclair probably was catching some heat for this somewhere. They decided to delay the airing of this interview with Judy Mikovits. We know how the Streisand effect works these days. Anything they delay or censor, it's just, why? Why do they even try to do that? We are researching for what they try to censor. So good job, you deep state geniuses. Next up, Newsweek printed, surprisingly, yes, this is Newsweek, but they went and printed an op-ed that was written by a Yale epidemiologist. His name was Harvey Risch, and the title of this article says, the key to defeating COVID-19 already exists. We need to start using it. That was the opinion piece. This is going viral as heck this weekend. A lot of people are linking it or rewriting it, sharing their version of this story. But this is huge because in this piece, he talks about pretty much every success story with hydroxychloroquine on COVID-19 that you could find. Examples out of France, examples with Dr. Zelenko, examples out of Brazil. And this is a very strong case, which obviously we should use anything against COVID-19. And that's the point I want to make here to you guys, is that there are countless treatments that we could be using. Hydroxychloroquine being one of them. I've talked about chlorine dioxide enough on this channel. There's plenty of herbals out there, of natural remedies, of even generics like hydroxychloroquine and others. There's so many things that we could be using, but we're not. Why aren't we? Well, of course, they just don't want this pandemic to end, do they? And the only way they do want it to end is if we accept the vaccine or buy their super expensive drug that they're patenting and marketing for $1,000 a pill. Really, they don't want this to end, though. They only want it to end after the election because they need to push mail-in voting. They need to push for all of us to be super social distanced and just all this stuff, especially the mail-in voting and the lockdown regulations and the masks. They're just trying to control you and me and everybody out there. Onward, let's talk Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump. So I saw some hit pieces against Trump come out this weekend talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, what does she have on Trump, and reporting on this new ad that came out of the Lincoln Project. That's the particular political action group or whatever the Lincoln Project is. It's this brand new private group that has been putting out basically a bunch of advertisements, anti-Trump and advertisements. And this group, the Lincoln Project, all of their founders and co-founders and whatnot, they're basically just a bunch of Bush-era Republicans, meaning that, I don't care about the left-right stuff, but meaning that they're basically just Republican deep state shills. That's basically what they are. So every single ad that they've been putting out just totally takes Abraham Lincoln's name in vain, like it's so bad, and it goes against Trump. And now they're doing it because of Ghislaine Maxwell, and they're asking, what does Maxwell have on Trump? Well, let's be real. If Ghislaine Maxwell or Epstein or any of them had dirt that serious on Donald Trump, we would have heard about it by now. Just critical thinking, use common sense. That would have been leaked long ago. But the best they have against Donald Trump is an Access Hollywood tape that was from a decade or two ago when he just made a comment that upset a few people. That's pretty much it. No, Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't have anything on Trump, And Trump was playing them the whole time. Sure, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell might have been to Mar-a-Lago a couple times to party there, but we know that Trump never flew on the never flew on the Lolita Express. He never went to Epstein's Island, okay? Even in 2008, when Epstein's court case was going on back then, we had a prosecutor who was interviewed that was involved in that 2008 court case, and he said that Donald Trump was one of the only people to help with that case against Epstein, period. So we have plenty of evidence to show that Trump was just playing all these mofos for so many years, and that now he's president, and now he's got some white hats in the military behind him. He's taken down all these guys. Hilarious. And in fact, let's talk about that wishing well comment that Trump made a couple of days ago. A lot of people were confused by that. Why is Trump wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well? Well, strategy. I mean, the mainstream media, they're not reporting on Ghislaine Maxwell hardly at all. So by Trump wishing her well, mainstream media goes, oh my gosh, let's start printing this now. How juicy is that, right? And then they start using their projective techniques, try to make it seem like it's Trump that has all the dirt with Epstein and Maxwell, when we know it's not Trump, it's Bill Clinton, it's Prince Andrew, it's Kevin Spacey, it's all the names on the Lolita Express flight logs. So some strategy to that, and also people were noting that there's a lot of code speak used by the deep state when they're tweeting and saying things to each other publicly. And in a previous Q drop, Q was sort of decoding one of James Comey's tweets for us. And they told us that the phrase wishing well, they insinuated that when the deep state says somebody should be wished well or they wish somebody well in a tweet, that actually means it's basically like an assassination call for them to be taken out. So Trump could have been using that same code speak when he said, I wish Ghislaine Maxwell well, or something to that effect, but there's always code that goes back and forth, and strategic, but don't worry. Epstein, Maxwell, Trump, not involved, very easy to prove. Just follow the facts, follow the logic. And then last thing I want to touch on here is the quantum internet. Just a cool story that I want to throw in towards the end here. On Thursday, I think, like 3 days ago, the Department of Energy had a press conference. And at this press conference, they announced that within a decade, they said, they are going to have a working prototype of a quantum internet. And they're looking to have all 17 of their Department of Energy labs. You like that? That's how many labs the DOE has, 17. They're going to connect all their 17 labs with this working prototype. So this is awesome. And I'll kind of describe the big picture here in a sec. So it's awesome because, great, this stuff, it's getting disclosed to the public. This follows the Quantum Initiatives Act. It's written about in this report by Forbes. The Quantum Initiatives Act, if you remember Trump signing that in December 2018, that Quantum Initiative Act said that they were going to be funneling billions of dollars into quantum research in the coming years. And when that came out, if you remember following this channel back then, I'm like, boom, this is huge. What I think is going to happen is that the Space Force, they're going to start leaking technology and disclosing things in a really soft, subtle way through the Space Force, also through the Navy. We have that Navy patent that's recently come out in the past year or two. And they're also going to talk quantum, use the Quantum Initiatives Act, use that buzzword quantum, and try to disclose a lot of stuff via that means. That's how I feel it's going to go down, and it looks like that's kind of how it's happening here. Now, big picture perspective, we know that there is a lot of research and development that's been kept secret by the deep state for decades and decades. Zero-point energy technology, free energy, anti-gravity, electrogravitics, other sort of quantum-type communications, things like that, right? So I want full disclosure. I want all that out to the public. That's just me wanting it, though. Would the public be able to handle that? That's a different question. But soft, strategic, baby steps at a time. I understand that. That's why I look at this and be like, well, we already have it, truly, but it's cool that they're starting to bring it out, even if Trump administration is bringing it out slowly. Nevertheless, the deep state, they don't want any of this disclosed. They don't want their secret space programs or their technologies they kept hidden given to the public at all. So anyway, the next 5 to 10 years are going to be incredible, folks. Incredible. This rounding up of the deep state that should happen within the next, or begin soon here. Maybe Obamagate indictments coming around Labor Day, and we'll see what happens. First year of Trump's second term, 2021, but 5 to 10 years out, the next decade is going to be absolutely massive in the leaps that we are going to make. And after the deep state, we need them kind of gone first. We need that swamp drain, but then things are going to get fun. So anyway, that's all for this one, folks. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Make sure you go to jordansather.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there. Follow me on Twitter for now, while I'm not bound there. Instagram and Facebook and Parler, too. All those links will be down below. And then shout out to everybody supporting on Patreon and also supporting me by grabbing something through my Conscious Strength health and supplement brand at consciousstrength.net. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.